The Silent Stranger. It was a cold winter night, and Emma, a 19-year-old college student, found herself alone at her parents' house. They had left for a weekend getaway, leaving Emma to look after their home in the quiet suburbs. It wasn't her first time alone. She was used to it. The house was large and a bit creaky, but it was home. With snow falling gently outside and a movie marathon queued up, she planned a quiet, peaceful evening. At around 7 p.m., the wind outside began to pick up, howling through the trees. The house felt a little too still, the kind of quiet that presses against your eardrums. Emma tried to shake off the eerie feeling by settling down on the couch with a blanket. Her dog, Max, a German shepherd, lay lazily by her feet. Max had always been good at calming her down. If anything went wrong, Max would sense it. As the night wore on, Emma found herself engrossed in a movie. Suddenly, Max jolted up, his ears perked. He let out a low growl. Emma paused the movie and listened. The house was silent, but Max's eyes were fixed on the hallway leading to the front door. "Relax, Max. It's probably just the wind," Emma whispered. But Max wasn't calming down. He stood up and slowly padded toward the hallway, growling softly. Emma's heart started to race. It could be nothing, but she couldn't shake the creeping sense of unease that was crawling up her spine. She followed Max to the hallway, her bare feet silent on the hardwood floors. She glanced at the front door. It was locked, the deadbolt in place, nothing out of the ordinary. She peered through the peephole, nothing but darkness and swirling snow. But Max was still on edge, his hackles raised. She slowly backed away, deciding to double-check the back door and windows, just in case. Living alone had made her cautious, and she knew better than to ignore her dog's instincts. After checking every window and door, everything seemed secure. Max had calmed down a little, but still seemed restless, pacing back and forth between the living room and the hallway. Emma tried to brush it off as just the wind rattling the house, but something felt wrong. She decided to text her parents, just to let them know what was going on. "Hey, weird thing. Max has been acting strange. Think it's just the wind, but wanted to let you know," she typed out. Her phone buzzed almost immediately. It was her mom. "Keep an eye on things. Call us if you need anything." Emma tried to relax and return to her spot on the couch, but the comfortable atmosphere was gone. Even the cozy glow of the fireplace didn't help her anxiety. She tried to focus on the movie, but every small creak made her heart skip a beat. Suddenly, there was a faint knock at the door. Emma froze. It was almost midnight. Who could possibly be at her door at this hour? Her mind raced through every possibility. A neighbor? A lost traveler? Her parents? She hadn't heard a car pull up, but the snow was heavy. It might have muffled the sound. Max was standing completely still now, his ears erect and eyes fixed on the door. The knock came again, slightly louder this time. Emma slowly stood up, her heart pounding in her chest. She edged toward the door, glancing through the peephole. Outside, a man stood, his face partially obscured by a hood, his breath visible in the cold night air. He wasn't moving, just standing there, staring straight ahead. "Hello? Who's there?" Emma called out, her voice trembling slightly. No response. The man didn't even flinch. Emma's stomach churned with fear. She stepped away from the door, grabbing her phone. She considered calling the police, but hesitated. Was she overreacting? The man wasn't doing anything, just standing there. She decided to wait it out, hoping he would just leave. Minutes passed, but the man remained at the door, completely still. Emma's anxiety turned into full-blown terror. What did he want? Why wasn't he leaving? Suddenly there was a loud thud from the back of the house. Emma's blood turned to ice. Max bolted toward the kitchen, barking ferociously. She ran after him, her pulse racing. Someone was trying to get in through the back door. She grabbed the largest kitchen knife she could find, her hands trembling. The sound of the back door being rattled violently echoed through the house. "Who's there? I'm calling the police!" Emma screamed, her voice shaking. The rattling stopped for a moment and everything went silent. She stood frozen in the kitchen, the only sound the rapid thumping of her heart. Max was growling deeply, staring at the door. Seconds felt like hours as she waited, knife in hand. Then, without warning, The man outside the front door started banging, hard and fast, on the door. Emma's head snapped toward the hallway. Her body was paralyzed with fear. It was as if both entrances were under siege at once. She backed into a corner, her phone in her hand, finally dialing 911. Her voice shook as she tried to explain what was happening. "I'm alone in my house and someone's trying to get in. Please send help," she whispered desperately into the phone. The operator assured her that the police were on their way, but every second felt like an eternity. The banging at the front door continued relentlessly, and then, just as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. Emma could hear her own breath, ragged and uneven. Max was still growling, pacing back and forth in front of the back door. Emma didn't dare move, clutching the knife in one hand and the phone in the other. She could hear the faint sound of sirens in the distance, getting closer. Relief washed over her. Help was coming. As the sirens grew louder, Emma edged toward the window, peeking through the curtains. The man at the front door was gone. She quickly rushed to the back door, checking to see if anyone was there. No one. Whoever had been trying to break in had disappeared, leaving only faint footprints in the freshly fallen snow. When the police arrived, they searched the area, but there was no sign of anyone. No tracks leading away from the house, no evidence of forced entry, nothing. It was as if the man had vanished into thin air. They assured Emma they would patrol the area throughout the night, but there wasn't much else they could do. With the snow still falling heavily, any trace of the stranger was quickly being covered. Emma locked every door and window in the house, double-checking everything before finally collapsing onto the couch, exhausted but too terrified to sleep. Max lay beside her, his body still tense but calm enough to rest. The next morning, Emma woke up to find the house silent and still, as if nothing had ever happened. Her parents returned later that day, and she recounted the terrifying events of the night before. They were shaken, but relieved that she was safe. Weeks passed, and life slowly returned to normal. But Emma never quite felt safe in that house again. Sometimes, late at night, when the wind howled through the trees and the house creaked in the darkness, she would catch herself staring at the front door, half expecting the silent stranger to return. No one ever figured out who he was or what he wanted. But every now and then, on a cold winter night, Emma would remember the sound of that knock and the terrifying realization that someone very real, had been watching her